Mattithyahu, Matthew chapter 26. And it came to be when Yahusha ended all these words, he said to his Talmudim, You know that after 2 days the Pesach takes place, and the bane of Adon is to be delivered up to be impaled. Then the chief Kohanim and the scribes and the elders of the people came together at the court of the Kohen Hagadol, who was called Caiaphas, and plotted to seize Yahushua by trickery and kill. But they said, Not at the festival, lest there be an uproar among the people. And when Yahushua was in Bethania, at the house of Shimon the leper, a woman came to him, having an alabaster flask of costly perfume, and she poured it on his head as he sat at the table. And when his Talmudim saw it, they were much displeased, saying, To what purpose is this waste? For this perfume could have been sold for much and given to the poor. However, when Yahushua noticed it, he said to them, Why do you trouble the woman? For she has done a good work toward me. For you always have the poor with you, but me you do not have always. For in pouring this perfume on my body, she did it for my burial. Truly, I say to you, wherever this good news is proclaimed in all the world, what this woman has done shall be spoken of also to her remembrance. Then one of the 12, called Yehuda from Kerioth, went to the chief Kohanim and said, What would you give me to deliver him to you? And they counted out to him 30 pieces of silver. And from then on he was seeking an occasion to deliver him up. And on the first of Matzot, the Talmudim came to Yahushua, saying to him, Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Pesach? And he said, Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, The teacher says, My time is near. I am to observe the Pesach at your house with my Talmudim. And the Talmudim did as Yahushua had ordered them and prepared the Pesach. And when evening came, he sat down with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, Truly, I say to you, one of you shall deliver me up. And they were deeply grieved and began to say to him, each of them, Adonai, is it I? And he answering said, He who has dipped his hand with me in the dish, he shall deliver me up. Indeed, the bane of Adon goes as it has been written concerning him, but woe to that man by whom the bane of Adon is delivered up. It would have been good for that man if he had not been born. And Yehuda, he who delivered him up, answering said, Rabbi, is it I? He said to him, You have said it. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread, and having barach, broke and gave it to the Talmudim, and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And taking the cup and giving thanks, he gave it to them, saying, Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood, that of the renewed covenant, which is shed for many for the forgiveness of sins. But I say to you, I shall certainly not drink of this fruit of the vine from now on till that day when I drink it anew with you in the reign of my Father. And having sung a song, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Yahushua said to them, All of you shall stumble in me this night, for it has been written, I shall strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered. But after I have been raised, I shall go before you into Galilee. And Caiaphas answering said to him, Even if all stumble in you, I shall never stumble. Yahushua said to him, Truly, I say to you that this night, before the cock crows, you shall deny me 3 times. Caiaphas said to him, Even if I have to die with you, I shall not deny you. All the Talmudim said the same too. Then Yahushua came with them to a place called Gath Shemen, and said to the Talmudim, Sit here while I go over there and pray. And he took with him Caiaphas and the 2 sons of Zabdi, and he began to be grieved and deeply distressed. Then he said to them, My being is exceedingly grieved, even to death. Stay here and watch with me. And going forward a little, he fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not as I desire, but as you. And he came to the Talmudim and found them asleep, and said to Kepha, So you were not able to watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into trial. The spirit indeed is eager, but the flesh is weak. Again he went away a second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it is impossible for this to pass unless I drink it, let your desire be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them, went away again, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then he came to his Talmudim and said to them, Still sleeping and taking rest? See, the hour has come near, and the bane of Adon is delivered up into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. See, he who delivers me up has come near. And while he was still speaking, see, Yehuda, one of the 12, with a large crowd with swords and clubs, came from the chief Kohanim and elders of the people. And he who was delivering him up gave them a sign, saying, Whomever I kiss, it is he, seize him. And going straight up to Yahusha, he said, Greetings, Rabbi, and kissed him. And Yahusha said to him, Friend, why have you come? Then they came and laid hands on Yahusha and seized him. And look, one of those with Yahusha put out his hand and drew his sword, and striking the servant of the Kohen Hagadol, he cut off his ear. Then Yahusha said to him, Return your sword to its place, for all who take the sword shall die by the sword. Or do you think that I am not able to pray to my Father now, and he shall provide me with more than 12 legions of messengers? How then would these scriptures be filled that it has to be this way? In that hour Yahushua said to the crowds, Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs to arrest me? Daily I sat with you teaching in the Mikdash, and you did not seize me. But all this came to be so that the scriptures of the Nevi'im might be filled. Then all the Talmudim left him and fled, and those who had seized Yahushua led him away to Caiaphas the Kohen Hagadol, where the scribes and the elders were gathered together. But Kepha followed him at a distance to the courtyard of the Kohen Hagadol, and he went in and sat with the servants to see the end. And the chief Kohanim and the elders and all the council were seeking false witness against Yahushua to put him to death, but found none. Although many false witnesses came forward, they found none. But at last 2 false witnesses came forward and said, This one said, I am able to destroy the Mishkan of Elohim and to build it in 3 days. And the Kohen Hagadol stood up and said to him, Have you no answer to make? What do these witness against you? But Yahushua remained silent. So the Kohen Hagadol said to him, I put you to oath by the living Elohim that you say to us if you are Hamashiach, the bane of Yahuah. Yahushua said to him, You have said it. Besides, I say to you, from now you shall see the bane of Adon sitting at the right hand of the Almighty and coming on the clouds of the Shemayim. Then the Kohen Hagadol tore his garments, saying, He has blasphemed! Why do we need any more witnesses? See, now you have heard his blasphemy. What do you think? And they answering said, He is liable to death. Then they spat in his face and beat him, and others slapped him, saying, Nava to us, Mashiach! Who is the one who struck you? And Kepha sat outside in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him, saying, And you were with Yahushua of Galilee. But he denied it before them all, saying, I do not know what you say. And as he was going out into the porch, another girl saw him and said to those there, And this one was with Yahushua of Nazareth. But again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while those who stood by came to him and said to Kepha, Truly, you are one of them too, for even your speech gives you away. Then he began to curse and to swear, saying, I do not know the man. And immediately a cock crowed, and Kepha remembered the word of Yahushua, who had said to him, "Before a cock crows, you shall deny me 3 times." And going out, he wept bitterly. Mattithyahu, Matthew chapter 27. And morning having come, all the chief Kohanim and elders of the people took counsel against Yahushua, so as to put him to death. And having bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilatus, the governor. Then Yehuda, he who delivered him up, having seen that he had been condemned, repented, returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief Kohanim and to the elders, saying, "I have sinned in delivering up innocent blood." And they said, "What is that to us? You see to it." And throwing down the pieces of silver in the Mishkan, he left and went and hanged himself. And the chief Kohanim took these silver pieces and said, "It is not right to put them into the treasury, seeing they are the price of blood." So they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field for the burial of strangers. Therefore that field has been called the field of blood until today. Then was filled what was spoken by Yirmiyahu the Nevi, saying, "And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him who was pierced, on whom they of the children of Yisrael put a price, and gave them for the potter's field, as Yahuah had ordered me." And Yahushua stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, "You are the sovereign of the Yahudim?" And Yahushua said to him, "You say it." And as he was accused by the chief Kohanim and the elders, he answered not. Then Pilatus said to him, "Do you not hear how much they witness against you?" And he did not answer him, not one word, so that the governor wondered much. And at the festival the governor used to release to the crowd one prisoner whom they wanted. And they had then a well-known prisoner called Barabbas. So when they were assembled, Pilatus said to them, "Whom do you want that I release to you, Barabbas or Yahushua, who is called Mashiach?" For he knew that because of envy they had delivered him up. And as he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent to him, saying, "Have naught to do with that righteous man, for I have suffered much today in a dream because of him." But the chief Kohanim and elders persuaded the crowds that they should ask for Barabbas and to destroy Yahushua. And the governor answering said to them, "Which of the 2 do you want that I release to you?" They said, "Barabbas." Pilatus said to them, "What then shall I do with Yahushua, who is called Mashiach?" They all said to him, "Let him be impaled." And the governor said, "Indeed, what evil has he done?" And they were crying out all the more, saying, "Let him be impaled." And when Pilatus saw that he was getting nowhere, but rather an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of the blood of this righteous one. You shall see to it." And all the people answering said, "His blood be on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, but having Yahushua whipped, he delivered him over to be impaled. Then the soldiers of the governor took Yahushua into the court and gathered the entire squad around him. And having stripped him, they put a scarlet robe on him, and plaiting a crown of thorns, they put it on his head, and a reed in his right hand. And they kneeled down before him and mocked him, saying, "Greetings, sovereign of the Yahudim." And spitting on him, they took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they took the robe off him, then put his own garments on him, and led him away to be impaled. And as they were going out, they found a man of Cyrene, Shimon by name. They compelled him to bear his stake. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, that is to say, place of a skull, they gave him wine mixed with bile to drink, and after tasting, he would not drink it. And having impaled him, they divided his garments, casting lots, that it might be filled what was spoken by the Nevi. They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. And sitting down they guarded him there, and they put up over his head the written charge against him. This is Yahushua, the sovereign of the Yahudim. Then 2 robbers were impaled with him, one on the right and another on the left. And those passing by were blaspheming him, shaking their heads and saying, You who destroy the Mishkan and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the bane of Elohim, come down from the stake. And likewise the chief Kohanim with the scribes and elders, mocking, said, He saved others. He is unable to save himself. If he is the sovereign of Yisrael, let him now come down from the stake, and we shall believe him. He trusted in Elohim. Let him rescue him now if he desires him, for he said, I am the bane of Elohim. And also the robbers who were impaled with him reviled him the same. And from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Yahushua cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my El, why have you forsaken me? Some of those standing there, having heard, said, This one calls Eliyahu. And immediately one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink. But the rest said, Leave it, let us see if Eliyahu comes to save him. And Yahushua cried out again with a loud voice and gave up his spirit. And see, the veil of the Mishkan was torn in 2 from top to bottom, and the earth was shaken, and the rocks were split, and the tombs were opened, and many bodies of the Kodashim who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the Kodesh city and appeared to many. And when the captain and those with him who were guarding Yahushua saw the earthquake and all that took place, they feared exceedingly, saying, Truly, this was the bane of Elohim. And many women who followed Yahushua from Galilee attending him were there watching from a distance, among whom were Miriam from Magdala, and Miriam the mother of Yaakov and Yosef, and the mother of Zebedai's sons. And when evening came, there came a rich man from Ramathaim named Yosef, who himself had also become a Talmid of Yahushua. He went to Pilatus and asked for the body of Yahushua. Then Pilatus commanded the body to be given. And having taken the body, Yosef wrapped it in clean linen and laid it in his tomb, which he had hewn out of the rock. And he rolled a large stone against the door of the tomb and went away. And Miriam from Magdala was there, and the other Miriam sitting opposite the tomb. On the next day, which was after the preparation, the chief Kohanim and Pharisees gathered together to Pilatus, saying, Master, we remember while he was still alive how that deceiver said, After 3 days I am raised. Command then that the tomb be safeguarded until the 3rd day, lest his Talmudim come by night and steal him away, and should say to the people, He was raised from the dead, and the last deception shall be worse than the first. So Pilatus said to them, You have a watch, go, safeguard it as you know how. And they went and safeguarded the tomb, sealing the stone after posting sentries. Mattithyahu, Matthew chapter 28. Now after the Shabbat, toward dawn, on one of the Shabbatoth, Miriam from Magdala and the other Miriam came to see the tomb. And see, there was a great earthquake, for a messenger of Yahuah came down out of the Shemaim and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat on it. And his appearance was like lightning, and his garments as white as snow. And the guards trembled for fear of him and became like dead men. And the messenger responding said to the woman, Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Yahushua who was impaled. He is not here, for he was raised, as he said. Come, see the place where the Adon lay. And go quickly, say to his Talmudim that he was raised from the dead, and see, he is going before you to Galilee. There you shall see him. See, I have told you. And they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy, and ran to report to his Talmudim. And as they were going to report to his Talmudim, see, Yahushua met them, saying, "Greetings." And they came and held him by the feet and bowed to him. Then Yahushua said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go, report to my brothers to go to Galilee, and they shall see me there." And while they were going, see, some of the sentries, having gone into the city, reported to the chief Kohanim all that took place. And when they came together with the elders and taken counsel, they gave enough silver to the soldiers, saying, "Say that his Talmudim came at night and stole him away while we slept. And if this should be reported to the governor, we shall win him over and keep you out of trouble." And having taken this silver, they did as they were instructed. And this account was widely spread among the Yahudim to this day. And the 11 Talmudim went away into Galilee to the mountain which Yahshua had appointed for them. And when they saw him, they bowed to him, but some doubted. And Yahshua came up and spoke to them, saying, "All authority has been given to me in the Shemayim and on earth. Therefore, go and instruct all the nations, immersing them in the name of the Father and of the Bane and of the Ruah HaKodesh, teaching them to guard all that I have commanded you. And see, I am with you always until the end of the age." Amen.